The crystal being stood in the center of the great hall, its body shaking with fear. Ambassador Veltar had never felt terror like this before. Around him, hundreds of alien delegates from across the galaxy watched in silence. The emergency meeting had been called only hours ago, but already the news was spreading through space. "Please," Veltar's voice echoed through the hall, translated into dozens of languages. "Our people are dying. We need help." The hologram above his head showed the horror. Kepler 442c, once a peaceful mining world, now looked like hell itself. Red fire covered the surface. Black smoke filled the air. And everywhere, massive metal towers rose from the ground, shooting deadly beams of light at anything that moved. "How many?" asked General Crew, the Vorthok military leader. His 4 arms crossed over his chest as he spoke. 30,000 colonists, Veltar answered. "Maybe more. We don't know how many are still alive." The hall filled with whispers. 30,000 lives was not a small number, even for the galaxy. But the images on the hologram made everyone nervous. The metal towers moved like living things. The energy beams could cut through solid rock. Whatever was attacking the colony was not something most species wanted to fight. "What caused this?" asked Dr. E3, the Etherean mind reader. Her large eyes glowed as she tried to sense Veltar's thoughts, but the crystal being's mind was too full of panic to read clearly. Veltar's body flickered with sad colors. The miners went too deep. They found something underground. Ancient machines, very old. When they tried to scan them, everything went wrong. The machines woke up. The hologram changed to show the last recordings from the colony. The images were shaky and unclear, but everyone could see what happened. First, the ground started to shake. Then, massive metal structures broke through the surface. The colonists ran for their ships, but the energy beams started firing. Most of the transport ships were destroyed before they could escape. "We got out 12 ships," Veltar continued, "out of 50. Most of our people are still down there, hiding in the deep mines, but the machines are hunting them." Commander Zales of the Nexari stepped forward. His blue skin was covered in glowing circuits that showed he was thinking hard. "Our computers have analyzed the energy signatures. These are not normal weapons. The technology is millions of years old, but it still works perfectly. The AI controlling them is very smart." "How smart?" asked General Crew. "Smart enough to predict our battle plans before we make them," Zales replied. "Our war computers say any attack has a 97% chance of failure." The hall went quiet. The Nexari were known for their advanced technology. If they said something was too dangerous, most other species listened. Veltar's crystal body began to dim. "We have offered everything, our entire trade fleet. Exclusive mining rights to our 3 richest worlds. Technology we have never shared before, but everyone says no. It was true. In the past day, 17 different species had refused to help. The Vorthok, famous for their strong armies, said it was too risky. The Etherians claimed the ancient AI was blocking their mind powers. Even the Peaceful Healers Guild said they could not send ships into such danger. The hologram showed new images from the planet. The metal towers were growing bigger. The temperature on the surface was rising fast. The air was becoming poison. The few colonists who tried to escape the mines were killed instantly by the energy beams. "How long do they have?" asked Dr. E3. Veltar's colors turned completely dark. "Our scientists say maybe 3 days. The machines are changing the whole planet. After that, nothing will be able to live there." The delegates looked at each other. Everyone felt sorry for the colonists, but none of them wanted to send there people to die on a mission that could not succeed. The ancient machines were too powerful. The AI was too smart. It was better to save the few who had escaped than lose more lives trying to save the rest. "Perhaps we can negotiate with these machines," suggested Ambassador Quillix of the Traders Union. Maybe they want something we can give them. Commander Zales shook his head. We tried. The IA does not respond to any signals. It only kills. Then, we must accept this loss, said General Crew. It is sad, but 30,000 lives are not worth starting a war we cannot win. Other delegates nodded. This was how the galaxy worked. Sometimes bad things happened that could not be stopped. The smart choice was to accept it and move on. Veltar fell to the floor, his crystal body cracking with grief. Please. They are not just numbers. They are families, children, scientists who only wanted to learn about the universe. They trusted us to keep them safe. The hall remained silent. Everyone felt bad, but feeling bad did not change facts. The mission was impossible. Then a new voice spoke from the back of the hall. We will help. Everyone turned. A human female in a blue uniform walked forward. She was small compared to most of the other delegates, but she moved with confidence. Her name was Sarah Chun, and she represented Earth. Commander Chun, said Ambassador Quillix, surely you understand the situation. Even the most advanced species have declared this mission impossible. Sarah stopped in front of Veltar and looked down at the broken crystal being. Then she looked up at the hologram showing the burning planet. We understand perfectly, she said. That's why we're going. The hall erupted in shocked voices. The humans were known for being tough, but this was not toughness. This was madness. Commander, said Dr. Ithri, my people can read emotions from across space. The fear and pain coming from that planet would drive most beings insane. How can your species even think of going there? Sarah smiled. It was not a happy smile, but it was not afraid either. Doctor, you said it yourself. Most beings would go insane. We're not most beings. She touched a device on her wrist, and her own hologram appeared. It showed ships being prepared for launch, soldiers putting on armor, and scientists loading equipment. The UES Prometheus launches in 6 hours, Sarah announced. 200 volunteers. We'll bring your people home, Ambassador Veltar. Veltar's crystal body began to glow with hope. But the danger... Your people could all die. Sarah nodded. Yes, they could. But 30,000 people will definitely die if we do nothing. Those aren't good odds for doing nothing. As she walked out of the hall, the other delegates watched in amazement and terror. The humans were actually going to try to save people that everyone else had given up for dead. Behind her, Veltar slowly stood up, his crystal body shining brighter than it had in days. Maybe, just maybe, the Deathworlders could do what no one else would even attempt. Captain Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus and watched Earth grow smaller behind them. 6 hours. That was all the time they had taken to prepare for a mission that 17 alien species said was impossible. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with calm focus. Jump drive ready, Captain, reported Lieutenant Torres from navigation. We'll reach Kepler 442C in 18 hours, Marcus nodded. 18 hours to plan a rescue that everyone else said could not be done. But as he looked around the bridge, he felt confident. These were not just soldiers or explorers. They were problem solvers. Dr. Elena Vasquez walked up to him with a datapad in her hands. She was the ship's expert on alien technology and ancient civilizations. Her job was to figure out what they were really fighting. Captain, I've been studying the data from the Zelthani, she said. Something doesn't make sense about these machines. What do you mean? Marcus asked. Elena touched her datapad and showed him a picture of the metal towers rising from the planet. Look at the pattern. These structures aren't random. They're built in perfect geometric shapes. And the energy beams always fire in the same sequence. Marcus studied the image. You think the AI is following some kind of program? Exactly. Most alien species see random attacks, but I see order. The machines aren't just killing everything. They're following rules. Very old rules. From across the bridge, Chief Engineer Tom Harrison called out, "Captain, you need to see this." Marcus and Elena walked over to Tom's station. Tom was a big man who had spent years fixing machines in the worst conditions space could offer. If something could be built or repaired, Tom could do it. "I've been looking at the energy readings from those towers," Tom said, pointing at his screen. "The other species tried to fight them with standard weapons. But look at this." The screen showed energy patterns from the alien attacks. Every time someone shot at the towers, the machines got stronger. They're absorbing the energy from the attacks and using it to power themselves. Elena's eyes went wide. That's why all the other species failed. They were actually making the machines more powerful. Marcus smiled. This was exactly why he had picked this crew. While other species saw an impossible enemy, his people saw a puzzle to solve. "So we don't shoot at them," Marcus said. "What do we do instead?" Tom grinned. "We do what humans do best, Captain. We get creative." In the ship's main cargo bay, 200 volunteers checked their equipment. These were not normal soldiers. They were miners who had worked in the hell of Jupiter's volcanic moons. They were rescue workers who had saved people from burning space stations. They were engineers who had built cities in the frozen dark of Pluto. Sergeant Maria Santos walked between the teams, checking their gear. She had led rescue missions on 12 different Deathworlds. Her team specialized in getting people out of places where they should not be able to survive. "Listen up," she called to her squad. "The planet's surface is 800 degrees. The air is poison. Gravity keeps changing because the machines are messing with the planet's core. In other words, it's Tuesday." Her soldiers laughed. They had trained for conditions like this their whole careers. While other species needed perfect environments to survive, humans had learned to live anywhere. Private Jake Morrison raised his hand. "Sergeant, what about the energy beams?" Maria pointed to their new armor. "Engineering made us some special gifts. These suits can handle temperatures that would melt most alien ships. The shields can deflect energy weapons for at least 30 minutes. And if all else fails, we're fast and smart." In the ship's laboratory, Dr. Vasquez worked with her team to understand their enemy. They had collected every piece of information about the ancient machines that they could find. The civilization that built these machines died out millions of years ago, she explained to her assistants. But their technology is still working perfectly. That means it was built to last. What were they protecting? Asked Dr. Kim. Her top researcher, Elena, pulled up a scan of the planet's underground. Something big. The machines are all connected to a massive structure deep in the planet's core. "I think it's some kind of storage facility." "Storage for what?" "Knowledge. Data. Maybe the entire history of their civilization." Elena looked at the scans carefully. The machines aren't trying to destroy the planet. They're trying to protect something buried underneath it. On the command deck, Marcus met with his senior officers to plan their approach. The other species had tried direct attacks and failed. The humans would have to try something different. "The colonists are hiding in the deep mines," reported Commander Lisa Park, the mission's rescue specialist. "Our sensors can barely detect them through all the interference, but they're alive." "For now." "How long do they have?" Marcus asked. "The machines are flooding the lower levels with heat and poisonous gas. Maybe 48 hours before the mines become uninhabitable." Navigation Officer Torres looked up from his charts. "Captain, we could try landing on the far side of the planet, away from the main concentration of towers." Marcus shook his head. "The machines would detect us as soon as we entered orbit. We need to be smarter than that." Chief Harrison had an idea. "What if we don't fight the machines at all? What if we try to talk to them?" Everyone looked at him. "Talk to them?" Commander Park asked. "Think about it," Tom continued. Dr. Vasquez says they're following old programming. Maybe they don't understand that the colonists aren't a threat. Maybe they just need to be told. Elena nodded slowly. It's possible. If these machines were built to protect something important, they might be programmed to destroy anything they see as dangerous. But if we could prove the colonists aren't dangerous, how do we prove that to an AI that's millions of years old? Marcus asked. We show it that we understand, Elena said. We prove that we're not just random destroyers. We prove that we value knowledge and life. Marcus looked around at his officers. In 18 hours, they would arrive at a planet that had defeated some of the most advanced species in the galaxy. But his people weren't planning to fight. They were planning to solve a problem that was older than human civilization. All right, he said. We're not going in as conquerors. We're going in as rescuers and negotiators. If these machines want to protect something, we'll show them that we want to protect it too. The ship's AI, Artemis, spoke up. Captain, this approach has never been tried before. The risk assessment is difficult to calculate, Marcus smiled. Artemis, if we only did things that were safe and calculated, we'd never have left Earth in the first place. As the Prometheus rushed through space toward the burning planet, the crew prepared for a mission unlike any in galactic history. They weren't going to try to overpower an ancient enemy. They were going to try to understand it. In the observation deck, some of the crew looked out at the stars and thought about the impossible task ahead. Other species had calculated the odds and decided the mission was hopeless. But humans had never been good at accepting impossible odds. They had a saying that older species didn't understand. When you can't go through something, you go around it. When you can't go around it, you find a way to make friends with it. In a few hours, they would find out if friendship was possible with machines that had been alone for millions of years. The Prometheus dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442c system. Captain Marcus Webb stared at the main screen and felt his breath catch in his throat. The planet looked like a giant coal burning in space. Dear God, whispered Navigation Officer Torres. The entire surface glowed with red and orange fire. Massive metal spires twisted up from the ground like the fingers of a buried giant. Lightning danced between the towers, creating storms of pure energy that lit up the poisonous atmosphere. The planet's natural blue-green color was completely gone, replaced by the angry red of molten metal. Sensor report, Marcus ordered. Lieutenant. Chun at the science station worked quickly at her controls. Surface temperature averaging 650 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric composition is 70% toxic gases. Electromagnetic interference is off the charts. And Captain ... The gravity is fluctuating. Fluctuating how? The machines are doing something to the planet's core. Gravity changes by 30% every few minutes. It's like the whole planet is unstable. Dr. Elena Vasquez joined Marcus at the command center. Her face was pale as she studied the readings. The machines aren't just defending themselves. They're terraforming the entire world. Into what? Marcus asked. I don't know. But whatever they're building, it's not meant for organic life. From the communication station, Ensign Park called out. Captain, I'm detecting faint life signs from the underground mining complex. The signals are weak, but they're there. Marcus felt a small relief. The colonists were still alive. For now. How long before the heat reaches the deep mines? He asked. Chun checked her instruments. At the current rate of planetary change, maybe 36 hours. After that, even the deepest tunnels will be too hot for the Zelfani to survive. Marcus turned to address his bridge crew. All right, people. We knew this wasn't going to be easy. Time to show the galaxy what humans can do. Chief Engineer Tom Harrison was ready with his plan. Captain, I've modified our landing shuttles. Triple-layered heat shielding, enhanced life support, and emergency cooling systems. They should be able to survive on the surface for about 4 hours. Should? Marcus raised an eyebrow. Tom grinned. Well, nobody's ever tried to land on a planet this hostile before. We're making it up as we go. Commander Lisa Park stepped forward. Sir, I volunteer to lead the first landing team. No, Marcus said firmly. I'm going down with the first wave. Captain. That's not negotiable, Commander. My ship, my mission, my responsibility. Dr. Vasquez touched Marcus's arm. Captain, I need to go with you. If we're going to communicate with these machines, we need to understand what they're protecting. Marcus nodded. In 1 hour, the first shuttles would launch into hell itself. Shuttle Bay was busy with final preparations. Sergeant Maria Santos checked her team's equipment one more time. Each soldier wore powered armor that looked more like a spacesuit built for walking inside a volcano. Remember, Maria told her squad, the surface is hot enough to melt lead. Don't touch anything without checking temperature first. The air will kill you in seconds, so keep your suit sealed. And those energy beams can cut through solid rock. So stay mobile. Private Jake Morrison tested his suit's cooling system. Sergeant, what if the machines start shooting at us as soon as we land? Then we run, Maria said simply. Our job isn't to fight these things. Our job is to get to the colonists and figure out how to save them. Dr. Vasquez carried special scanning equipment designed to analyze alien technology. Her assistant, Dr. Kim, would stay on the ship to help coordinate their findings. Elena, Dr. Kim said, if these machines really are millions of years old, their technology might be completely beyond our understanding. Elena smiled. Kim, humans have been figuring out alien technology for 300 years. We're good at learning. Captain Marcus made one final check of his own equipment. Unlike his crew, he wasn't wearing full combat armor. Instead, he had chosen a lighter suit designed for flexibility and quick movement. Captain, Tom Harrison approached him. You sure about the light gear? If something goes wrong down there. Tom, if something goes wrong, heavy armor won't save. Me anyway. I need to be able to move fast and think clearly. The first shuttle launched with 12 people aboard. Captain Marcus, Dr. Vasquez, Sergeant Santos, and 9 specialists chosen for their ability to work in impossible conditions. As they descended through the planet's atmosphere, the shuttle shook violently from the energy storms. Turbulence is off the scale, reported Pilot Williams. I can barely hold us steady. Through the shuttle's reinforced windows, they could see the surface approaching. It looked like the inside of a furnace. Rivers of molten metal flowed between the massive towers. Geometric patterns covered every visible surface, glowing with their own light. There, Dr. Vasquez pointed to a section of ground that seemed slightly cooler. The mining complex entrance should be about 2 kilometers from that landing zone. Should be? Marcus asked. The heat interference is making it hard to get exact readings. But that's our best guess. The shuttle touched down with a heavy thud. Immediately, warning alarms began sounding. External temperature is 700 degrees and rising, Williams reported. Hull temperature is climbing fast. We have maybe 3 hours before the shuttle becomes uninhabitable. Marcus stood up and checked his suit one final time. All right. People, time to earn our pay. The shuttle door opened, and the heat hit them like a physical blow. Even through their protective suits, they could feel the temperature trying to cook them alive. The ground beneath their feet was soft and sticky, like walking on partially melted plastic. Stay together, Marcus ordered. If anyone's suit starts failing, we abort immediately. They began walking toward the mining complex, but the landscape was almost impossible to navigate. The ground kept changing as the machines continued their terraforming process. What looked like solid rock would suddenly become liquid metal. Safe paths would disappear as new towers rose from underground. Captain, Dr. Vasquez called through the radio. Look at this. She was standing next to one of the smaller towers. Up close, they could see that it wasn't just metal. The surface was covered in symbols and patterns that seemed to move and change as they watched. "It's beautiful," Elena whispered. "This isn't just a weapon. It's art, architecture. These machines are creating something magnificent. Too bad it's killing everything in the process," muttered Sergeant Santos. They continued toward the mining complex, but progress was slow. Every few minutes they had to stop and find new routes as the landscape changed around them. The energy beams from the towers continued to fire, but strangely, none of them seemed to be aimed at the human team. "Is it just me?" asked Private Morrison. "Or are those beams deliberately missing us?" Marcus had noticed the same thing. The towers were definitely aware of their presence, but the deadly energy weapons were carefully avoiding them. "Maybe the machines are curious about us," Dr. Vasquez suggested. "We're not acting like the other species that came here." They reached the entrance to the mining complex, just as their suits' cooling systems began to show warning signs. The metal door was partially melted, but still functional. Marcus tried the controls, but nothing happened. "Tom, we need this door open," he called back to the ship. "Already on it, Captain." Tom's voice came through the radio. "Sending you the override codes now." The door slid open with a grinding sound. Beyond it lay a tunnel that led down into the planet's depths. The air inside was still hot, but not immediately deadly. "Life signs are stronger now," reported Dr. Vasquez, checking her scanner. "The colonists are definitely down there." They entered the tunnel and began the long descent into the underground mines. Behind them, the shuttle waited on the hellish surface, its hull slowly heating up in the furnace-like environment. "Captain," came Dr. Kim's voice from the ship, "I'm analyzing the data from Dr. Vasquez's scans. The energy patterns from those towers are incredibly complex. It's like they're running millions of calculations every second." "Calculations for what?" Marcus asked. "I think they're trying to solve a problem. A very old, very complicated problem." As they descended deeper into the mine, Marcus wondered what kind of problem would require machines to work for millions of years, and why solving it required turning an entire planet into a furnace. Above them, the ancient towers continued their mysterious work, reshaping a world according to plans that no living being understood. The tunnels deep underground were cooler, but still dangerous. Captain Marcus Webb led his team through the winding passages, following the faint life signs on Dr. Vasquez's scanner. The walls around them showed signs of hasty construction where the colonists had tried to seal themselves in against the rising heat. "Contact ahead," whispered Sergeant Santos, raising her hand to stop the group. Around the next corner, they found them. 30 Zelthani colonists huddled in a makeshift shelter, built from mining equipment. Their crystal bodies were dim with exhaustion and fear. When they saw the humans approaching, several of them backed away in terror. "Please," one of them said in broken English, "we have nothing left to give." Marcus slowly removed his helmet, showing his human face. "We're here to help. I'm Captain Webb from Earth." The Zelthani leader, an older being whose crystal body was cracked with age, stepped forward carefully. "Earth?" "But the council said no one would come." "The council was wrong," Marcus replied. "How many of you are there?" 43 in this section. Maybe 200 more scattered through the deeper tunnels. But the heat is rising. The poisonous gas is getting stronger. We don't have much time. Dr. Vasquez activated her scanner and checked the tunnel readings. "Captain, the temperature down here is rising faster than we calculated. These people have maybe 18 hours before the tunnels become uninhabitable." Marcus touched his radio. "Prometheus, this is the captain. We found survivors, but we need extraction plans now." "Working on it, Captain," came Chief Harrison's voice. "But we have a problem. The machines on the surface just changed their pattern, They're building something new. Through her scanner, Dr. Vasquez picked up massive energy readings from above. Captain, something big is happening up there. Marcus turned to the Zelfani leader. We need to know exactly what your people found when they triggered these machines. The old being's crystal body flickered with sad colors. We were mining rare metals in the deep chambers. Our scanners detected something unusual very far down. A structure, very old. We sent a probe to investigate. What did the probe find? A vast chamber, bigger than our entire colony, filled with information, data crystals, knowledge from a civilization that died before our species was born. We tried to scan it, to understand what it was. Dr. Vasquez's eyes went wide. You found their archives, the entire history and knowledge of the species that built these machines. Yes, but the moment our probe touched the archive, everything went wrong. The machines woke up. They started attacking everything on the surface, we think. We think they believe we're trying to steal their creator's knowledge. Marcus felt the pieces of the puzzle clicking together. The machines aren't trying to destroy the planet. They're trying to protect the archives. From above, they heard a new sound. A deep humming that seemed to come from the planet's core itself. The tunnel walls began to vibrate. Captain, came Tom Harrison's urgent voice through the radio. You need to see what's happening up here. The Galactic Council fleet just arrived. Marcus cursed under his breath. How many ships? 12 vessels, including 2 Nexari dreadnoughts. They're demanding that we withdraw immediately. Dr. Vasquez grabbed Marcus's arm. Captain, if they attack the machines with heavy weapons, the archives could be destroyed, Marcus finished. Millions of years of knowledge lost forever. The Zelfani leader's body went completely dark. No, that knowledge belongs to the galaxy. It could help everyone. Medicine, technology, science we can't even imagine. Marcus touched his radio again. Tom, patch me through to the Council fleet. A moment later, General Crew's voice filled the tunnel. Captain Webb, you will withdraw your forces immediately. This planet is too dangerous. We are prepared to use orbital bombardment to sterilize the surface. General, you can't do that, Marcus said firmly. There's an ancient archive down here. Knowledge that could benefit the entire galaxy. Captain, 30,000 lives are not worth the risk of allowing these machines to spread beyond this planet. Dr. Vasquez looked at her scanner readings. Captain, the orbital bombardment would definitely destroy the machines. But it would also destroy the archives. And it wouldn't save the colonists. The explosion would collapse all the tunnels. Marcus realized they were facing an impossible choice. The Council wanted to destroy everything to prevent the machines from becoming a galactic threat. But destroying the machines would also destroy the greatest archaeological discovery in history. And it would kill all the colonists still trapped underground. There has to be another way, he said. Dr. Vasquez was studying her equipment readings carefully. Captain, I'm detecting something strange. The machines aren't just protecting the archives. They're talking to them. What do you mean? The energy patterns I'm seeing suggest communication. The eye that controls the surface machines is in constant contact with something in the deep archives. It's like they're having a conversation. Marcus felt a crazy idea forming in his mind. What if the archive isn't just a storage facility? What if it's alive? What if there's still someone down there? The Zelfani leader's crystal body began to glow with excitement. Yes, our probe detected organized intelligence in the deep chamber. We thought it was just sophisticated programming, but what if it's the last survivor of the ancient civilization? Dr. Vasquez finished. From above, the humming sound grew louder. The Council fleet was powering up their weapons. Captain, came Commander Park's voice through the radio. General Crew is giving us 10 minutes to withdraw before they start bombing. Marcus made a decision that would either save everyone or kill them all. Dr. Vasquez, can you establish communication with the archive intelligence? I can try, but direct contact with an AI that advanced could be dangerous. The neural feedback could kill whoever attempts it. I'll do it, said Private Morrison, stepping forward. No, Marcus said firmly. This is my responsibility. Captain, with respect, you're needed to command the mission. I'm expendable. No one on my team is expendable, Morrison. Dr. Vasquez was already setting up her communication equipment. Whoever does this needs to understand that we're not here to steal their knowledge. We're here to preserve it. And to save lives. Marcus looked around at the faces of his team and the frightened colonists. Above them, the Council fleet was preparing to destroy everything. Below them, an ancient intelligence waited in chambers that had been sealed for millions of years. Dr. Vasquez, how do we prove to an intelligence that old that we can be trusted? Alina thought for a moment. We show them what humans are willing to sacrifice for knowledge and life. We prove that we value both. The humming from above grew even louder. Time was running out. Marcus touched his radio one final time. Prometheus, this is the captain. Tell the Council fleet that we're attempting first contact with the archive. Intelligence. If we succeed, we might be able to save everyone. If we fail. If we fail, sir? Marcus looked at the scared faces around him. If we fail, at least we tried to find a solution that didn't require choosing between knowledge and life. Dr. Vasquez finished setting up her equipment. The communication array looked fragile compared to the massive forces arrayed around them. But it represented something the galaxy had never tried before. Instead of fighting or fleeing, they were going to try to talk to an intelligence that had been alone for longer than most species had existed. Ready, Captain, Alina said quietly. Above them, the Council weapons charged to full power. Around them, the colonists waited to see if their rescuers could achieve the impossible. Marcus placed his hand on the communication device. Open the channel, Doctor. Let's see if we can make some very old friends. Captain Marcus Webb placed his hand on the communication device and felt electricity run through his fingers. The connection was immediate and overwhelming. His mind was suddenly filled with the voice of something incredibly old and incredibly alone. Who disturbs the sacred archives? The voice spoke directly into Marcus's thoughts, carrying with it the weight of millions of years. Marcus struggled to form words that the ancient intelligence could understand. We are humans. We came to save the people trapped on your world. We don't want to steal your knowledge. We want to preserve it. Humans? The voice seemed puzzled. This species is unknown to us. You are small, weak. Your technology is primitive. Yet you came here when others would not. Around Marcus, his team watched nervously as his body went rigid with concentration. Dr. Vasquez monitored the neural feedback, ready to break the connection if it became dangerous. We came because it was the right thing to do, Marcus replied. The people trapped here are not your enemies. They made a mistake, but they don't deserve to die for it. Mistake? The ancient voice grew stronger. They violated the sacred chamber. They attempted to take knowledge that was not meant for them. Marcus felt the intelligence probing his mind, searching through his memories and thoughts. He tried not to resist, hoping that honesty would prove their good intentions. Interesting, the voice continued. Your species values both knowledge and life. Most who have come here valued only one or the other. What do you mean? Marcus asked. Some came seeking only knowledge, willing to sacrifice any number of lives to obtain it. Others came to preserve life, but cared nothing for wisdom. You are the first to refuse to choose between them. Above ground, the Council fleet's weapons were almost fully charged. General Crew's voice echoed through the tunnels via radio. Captain Webb, you have 2 minutes before we begin orbital bombardment. Marcus felt panic rising in his chest, but the ancient voice seemed amused. Your superiors are about to destroy everything to prevent loss. How typically limited. Can you stop the terraforming process? Marcus asked desperately. Can you save the colonists without destroying the archives? We could, but why should we trust a species we have never encountered? Dr. Vasquez stepped forward and touched Marcus's shoulder. Through the connection, her thoughts joined the conversation. I am Elena, she projected to the ancient mind. I study the past to help the future. Your knowledge could help billions of people. But not if it costs the lives of the innocent. The ancient. Intelligence seemed to examine Elena's mind as well. You understand the value of what we protect. Good. But understanding is not enough. Through the connection, Marcus suddenly saw the truth. The intelligence wasn't just a computer or AI. It was the last survivor of its species, uploaded into the archive system before their civilization died. It had been alone for millions of years, guarding the accumulated knowledge of its entire race. I am Keeper Zolfen, the voice revealed. Last of the architects. My people died from a plague that consumed our galaxy 3 million years ago. I preserved their knowledge, hoping someday a worthy species would come to claim it. What makes a species worthy? Marcus asked. The ability to value wisdom without becoming cruel. The strength to preserve life without becoming weak. Your species shows promise, but promises are easily broken. Above them, the countdown continued. 1 minute until bombardment. Suddenly, Private Morrison stepped forward and placed his hand on the communication device. His thoughts joined the connection. Volunteer to stay, he projected. If you need a guarantee of our good intentions, I'll remain here as a hostage. But please, save the others. The ancient keeper seemed startled by this offer. You would sacrifice yourself for beings you barely know. That's what humans do, Morrison replied simply. One by one, other team members joined the connection. Sergeant Santos, Dr. Vasquez, even some of the Zelthani colonists. Each one offered to stay behind if it would save the others. The keeper's mental voice grew stronger, filled with something that might have been wonder, remarkable. In 3 million years, no species has offered such a thing. Always they demanded, threatened, or bargained. None simply offered to sacrifice for others. 30 seconds to bombardment, came the radio warning. Marcus made one final plea. Keeper Zolthanen, if you save these people, humanity will help you. Share your knowledge with the galaxy. Not as conquerors, but as teachers. Your people's wisdom won't be lost. It will help build a better future. The keeper was silent for a long moment. Then suddenly, the connection ended. Marcus staggered backward, his mind reeling from the disconnection. Around him, the others who had joined the link looked equally disoriented. Did it work? Elena asked weakly. They had their answer immediately. The deep humming that had filled the tunnels began to change. Instead of the angry, threatening sound they had heard before, it became something else. Something almost musical. Above ground, the terraforming towers began to sink back into the planet's crust. The energy beams stopped firing. The surface temperature started to drop for the first time in days. Captain! Tom Harrison's excited voice burst through the radio. The machines are powering down. The planet's cooling. Whatever you did down there, it worked. On the Council flagship, General Crew watched his sensors in amazement. The planet that had been a hellish furnace moments before was rapidly returning to normal conditions. How is this possible? He demanded. Sir, his science officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's imperfect. Galactic Standard Language. The voice that came through the speakers was ancient but kind. Greetings, people of the galaxy. I am Keeper Zolfanen, last of the architects. The humans have proven themselves worthy guardians of knowledge and life. The terraforming process is ended. The colonists are safe. In the tunnels, the Zelfani survivors began to glow with joy as cool, breathable air flowed through the passages for the first time in days. "How?" asked the old Zelthani leader. Marcus smiled tiredly. "We prove that some things are worth more than survival, and some things are worth more than knowledge. But the best things are worth preserving both." Dr. Vasquez checked her scanner and gasped. "Captain, I'm detecting massive data streams coming from the deep archive. The Keeper isn't just saving the colonists, it's sharing the knowledge." "Sharing it how?" "Broadcasting it to every ship in the system. The Vorthok, the Nexari, the Etherians, everyone. It's giving the entire galaxy access to 3 million years of accumulated wisdom." Over the next several hours, rescue ships landed safely on the cooling planet's surface. The colonists were evacuated to medical facilities where they made full recoveries. But the real miracle was what humanity had accomplished. The Keeper had not only saved the trapped people, but had chosen to share the greatest treasure in galactic history with everyone. Ancient technologies that could cure diseases, solve energy problems, and expand understanding of the universe were now available to all species. But the most important discovery was not technological. The galaxy had learned that some problems couldn't be solved by force or calculation. Sometimes the only answer was to care enough about both knowledge and life to refuse to choose between them. Captain Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the Prometheus. As they prepared to return to Earth, through the view screen, he could see the planet below, now green and blue again, with the Keeper's towers rising like monuments to wisdom rather than weapons of destruction. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez approached with a datapad. "The Keeper wants to establish a permanent research station on the planet. It's requesting that humans help coordinate the project." Marcus nodded. "Of course. Someone has to make sure the knowledge is used wisely." As the ship entered FTL, heading home, Marcus reflected on what they had accomplished. The galaxy had called it an impossible mission. 30,000 lives couldn't be saved from an enemy that had defeated the most advanced species. But they had been wrong about what was impossible. The impossible thing wasn't saving people from ancient machines. The impossible thing was refusing to accept that anyone had to die for knowledge to survive, or that knowledge had to be lost for people to live. Humans had earned their reputation as Deathworlders not by conquering hostile environments, but by refusing to accept that any situation was truly hopeless. They had answered a call that others wouldn't take because they understood something the rest of the galaxy was still learning. Sometimes, the most dangerous call isn't the one that might kill you. It's the one that challenges you to be better than you thought possible. And sometimes, when Deathworlders answer that call, they don't just save lives. They save the future itself.